Alright, so we just got some pretty big news in the developer radio here for Honkai Star Rail. And there actually are a couple of other things that are, talked about in here, but the big one that everyone is talking about right now is the fact that Hoyoverse has confirmed that older characters will be buffed in future patches, which is very huge for the game. I know we've been having the whole power creep discussion as a community for a while, and kind of recently it did kind of flare up a lot. So this is a really good thing for them to confirm here. Also, just to touch on them real quick here, I did have the the part up that I want to talk about here, but they did also talk about a few extra story optimizations, adding ways to skip past certain things that people may find monotonous or boring, and I think that definitely is good. Hopefully because my main thing for the story is just making sure that it could be lengthy, sure, but as long as it's not unnecessarily lengthy. Because when I was playing 3.0 on my stream, I do remember saying that a lot of the puzzles, I was there's too many of them. The puzzle concepts are cool, but if I have to do this many puzzles just to progress, that's adding on unnecessary fluff in my opinion. So that, plus also just making some of the storytelling a little bit better. I think if they do that, I'm gonna be chill. I don't have as much of a oh my god, I have to talk about this, and this for the story for these games. I'm not as crazy into the story as a lot of other people are, so that's why you don't see a lot of dialogue about it from my end. But going down to the big important part here, we'll read this word for word. So they said Amphorius is a year-long journey, and these story and puzzle solving optimizations are just the beginning. The Express crew will continue to optimize content. We're excited to bring everyone bigger and better journey experiences. To name some examples, we will be adding richer combat gameplay and challenge goals to the game. In addition, issues close to the Trailblazers' hearts, including difficulty deploying older characters on the battlefield, and the strengthening of these older characters are already on the schedule. Stay tuned for future content updates, Trailblazers. So absolutely big bombshell to have at the end of this story-related developer radio here. Firstly, they're going to be making richer combat gameplay and challenge goals, which I think is great, and I might make a separate video on this at some point too, but Honkai Star Rail definitely needs some more endgame stuff and permanent endgame content too, because while Simulated Universe is cool, I think we need something more than that that will actually challenge players and not just be based off of, oh, I need to get, the right blessings for my team and stuff like that. I think having something challenging and more permanent, in addition to what we have, is going to be a good thing. So hopefully that's the direction that they're going for that. But then the absolutely big bombshell, the character buffs. They're going to be buffing older characters, which is such a crazy thing for them to, just drop at the end of one of these developer radios here. And I also do want to pull up as well a tweet from Mr. Pokey, because we did also have him and someone else here as well, probably in this Discord, doing the CN translation word for word of what they said, because sometimes translation issues can happen. And verbatim, it says the Trailblazers' concerns with having difficulty using older units will be addressed by buffing old units themselves, which is really good, because I saw people tweeting when I first saw this that, oh, they might just be releasing new light cones that are good for characters, or releasing new relic sets that are more tailored towards characters, and doing more indirect buffs like that. But from the actual CN wording, it definitely does seem pretty confirmed at this point that they are going to be actually buffing the characters' kits. Now, what exactly does that mean? We don't know yet, because we don't have any info on it. But I do think it is an overall good thing for a game, especially a game that is going to, or at least plans to, be around for a long time, to be able to buff characters that are older, because while some characters, the reasons for them not being that good anymore are team related, for example, the Dot team is the biggest offender of this, that would be more so dealt with a newer character to bring them into relevance again. But for a lot of characters, a lot of the older ones Seele, Silverwolf, Blade, characters that came out very early, I'm even gonna lump Jingliu in there as well. They will definitely benefit a ton from this, as long as Hoyoverse brings them to a level where they don't have to be absolutely destroying the endgame content, because it's a gacha game, they still have to sell the new characters. But I think they should definitely be competitive enough to be able to hang around in the endgame content. And I also did want to bring up another example as well, because I know some people, might only be playing Hoyoverse games, which is totally fine, but and it's funny because I also made a video about this game about a week ago at this point. It was Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. It's a game that's been around for 10 years at this point, and they've gone through several, old unit buffs and actually buffing old units a second time as of a few months ago, I believe it was, or maybe it might have even been a year by now. But I want to pull up a character right here. This character is one of the more recent buffed characters in Dokkan Battle to just show the overall, change. We're mainly just going to look at this passive skill section right here. I'm not going to go into any kind of specifics in a game that a good amount of you probably don't play, but to just see the impact of it, he released in the beginning of 2017, and at that time, this was his kit. The game was in a very early state at that point because Dokkan came out in 2015, so he didn't do too much, but at the time when he came out, he was pretty good. Then, content started to get harder, kind of similar to, like Seele, Blade, etc. Content got harder, he started to not do as well in content. Then 2 years later, in October of 2019, he got his Extreme Z Awakening, which is Dokkan Battle's buff system. He gets a little more in his kit here, which will help him do better. He gets more attack, more defense, whatever, for him to do more damage, survive better in the content, and just overall be a better character. Then, that was in 2019. Fast forward to present day, content has changed wildly since that time because it's been over 5 years. But at the end of January, he got his Super Extreme Z Awakening, which is the second tier of buffing characters, which depending on how long Star Rail lasts, maybe they'll need to do something similar to that, and maybe they won't. We really, can't tell what's going to happen in the future. But for that passive skill, it goes from this little, these couple bullet points here to this whole massive thing of effects that he has. So I think that using the endgame content as a base for seeing how strong you should make these older character buffs is a good thing, because now it's like, okay, if I'm a player who's been playing for a while, or I really like this character, like for example, if I really like Seele and I pull her, which by the way she hasn't had a banner in like a ridiculous amount of time, but let's say I pull Seele right in, like if they give her a banner like soon, and people are like, oh, she's not good, but I really like Seele. That's gonna suck because I'm not really gonna be using my Seele like that. But if they're able to buff her, or if I'm a day one player who wants to use my Seele again, if they give her that kind of buff to make her competitive again, without having to, have a crazy amount of investment, and also not feeling like even if you do have that much investment, that other characters are just straight up outperforming her, that is going to be such a good feeling for the player base, and overall just a good thing for players. Because I feel like characters, they definitely won't ever last forever in these games, but giving them second, and even, in the case of Dokkan Battle, third chances at life is such a healthy thing for a game. And I've seen, in all the years that Dokkan has had their character buffing systems, I don't think I've seen a single person complain about the system itself. They've only complained when the company has fumbled on a character and not made them either as good as the community would want them to be, or just didn't give them enough to compete in the content that people value the most. So that is overall it for this update here. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do for this. Hopefully they have info in the 3.1 live stream, but we'll have to see. Let me know in the comments down below what you all think. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But with that, I will see you all next time.